As we know, it came on November 8, 2013, and it hit the Visayas regions with Giwan as the first of the 6 landfalls. So the storm, within the 100-kilometer track of the storm, 6 regions were affected, 14 provinces, and 171 municipalities and cities. Of this number, about 113 are actually coastal areas or have barangays in coastal areas. Let me just share the structure for coordination. I don't know if Yusek Antonio will be discussing this later, but let me just give an overview. Of course, the Office of the President is the overall policy direction setting, and is also the one doing the approval of the total plans and programs of all the clusters in this structure. The OPAR was created in December 2013 under MO62, and its role is really to, number one, to set the vision and to consolidate all efforts of the different clusters to come up with a comprehensive rehab and recovery plan, and also to coordinate and monitor the implementation of the specific projects and programs of the clusters. So the cluster is headed by HUDCC, and HUDCC is headed by the Vice President of the Philippines. And our members are, as I said, NHA is the primary implementing agency. There are certain projects where we can already relocate as housing units are constructed, but there are certain projects also that we need to further continue with land development before we can actually transfer families. Of course, part of the entire process is the social preparation and the selection and prioritization of beneficiaries, and the final activity is the relocation of family beneficiaries. The permanent housing need is 205,128. Again, these are the families who are in the unsafe zones, and the breakdown of this number is shown in the slide, with Iloilo actually having the most number of families who need to be relocated. When we did this determination, we worked together with the provincial governments as well as the SWD. So the SWD, who have people on the ground, are the ones giving information to us on the number of families that need to be relocated. And the process that we undertook is that once we have this number from the national government, we had a one-on-one meeting with the provincial governments to validate these numbers. Should there be discrepancies, we had to revalidate again those numbers before we came up with a total of 205,128. However, we also know that many of these have already transferred, maybe have set up homes in other areas, in other provinces. So this number is being validated as we implement projects on the ground. By the way, that number, the 205,000, would require a 1,367 hectares of land for us to be able to provide them housing. That 1,367 hectares would be used in this manner: 40 square meter lot size for each house, and a 22 square meter area loftable row house. We also have to ensure that community facilities are constructed, particularly for resettlement projects which are far from existing facilities. So in particular, our minimum requirements are to ensure that there are school buildings and multi-purpose covered courts, which will also serve as daycare centers or health centers in the meantime. This is how we are going to implement the project, and we have created provincial interagency committees in the different provinces. So the provincial interagency committees chaired by the governor, and the vice chairman can either be the respective mayors or HUDCC or NHA. And all government agencies that are involved in the housing activity, as well as NGOs, POs who may be interested, can be part of the PIACs, provincial IACs. Many of the local governments do not own land, or have available land but do not have titles over the properties. It is a requirement of the government that the title to be used for the resettlement sites before we can actually undertake land development or housing construction. They should have clean titles. What the cluster has done is, number one, we are continuing to identify government land suitable for housing, and we are doing this under our one-stop approach with DA, DAR, DNR, HLURB, and the local governments. We are also facilitating the titling of LGUs, LGU-identified sites in coordination with the DNR and the LRA. And we are working with the LGU in the identification of private land that can be acquired for this purpose. Another issue that was raised to us was the availability and rising prices of construction materials. So what we are doing is we have set meetings, we have met with the different construction material suppliers. We engage them in dialogues so that they can inform us if there are issues that hamper the supply of these materials in areas like Tacloban. Some of them have identified earlier the bottlenecks in the birthing facilities of PPA, so we are working with PPA on this one. And then the developers themselves have also identified the lack of suppliers. So what we did was we set meetings, we facilitated meetings between the suppliers of the construction materials and the developers themselves, so that they can engage and come up with a timetable and plans on how to ensure the continuing supply of construction materials. And so we came up with a list of the suppliers of this chaebol material, which we turned over to the developers yesterday.